All right, guys, so this is project 9. It is the heritage ball. So we're going to start off with I just have like scrap clays, and I'm just going to pat it into a ball shape. Now you can see it's like, it fits in my hand nice. It's just the size of like a baseball, essentially. So you don't want it to be too big because this is our last project. So, I mean, you're going to need some clay to add on pieces. But essentially, this could be the end of your clay. So if it's a bit smaller, it's fine. Okay, so once you get it into a ball shape, then what we're going to do is we're going to cut it in half because this needs to be hollow. Let's see. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to take my wire cutter and I'm just going to cut it right in half. The sound effects help, just saying. So you can see there was an air pocket there. So that would have blown up in the kiln if we wouldn't have cut it in half. And then we're going to just take our thumb and push it into the center and make 2 pinch pot bowls, just like we did with our first pinch pot. But now we're making 2 of them, and then we'll put them back together to create a hollow ball. It's very important that your project is hollow, because something this thick would not dry out in time and would absolutely blow up. It's also going to be a lot lighter. And we just need it to be hollow. So you're going to go through and you're going to pinch until it's a nice even thickness. Think about the pencil thickness that we're going for here. Try to keep it in kind of a bowl, half ball shape. It's fine if it's not perfectly round at this point because we can shape it more once we get it back together. So we're just going to make one side of the bowl, and then we take our other one. We do the exact same thing. So we just press our thumb into it and then start pinching it around and around and around, making a nice bowl shape. And then hopefully once you guys have get this started, hopefully you've got some ideas of what your 3 symbols are going to be to represent your heritage, whether they're all one heritage or maybe 3 different heritages. I'm not even sure if that's a word. 3 different cultures. There, we'll just go with that. That represent your family's background, because that's what we're trying to do here, is highlight our families and where they came from and where we come from. All right, so let's see, pencil thickness. Yeah, pretty good. So it's about the same all the way around. It's really important it's nice and even. That way it dries nice and even. There's no big lumpy spots, like so. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to slip and score these back together. Now they're not going to be identical. They're not going to be perfect, and that's fine. So then we can take our trusty paintbrush here and we can get the sides wet. I did not let this dry at all. I'm just going straight into slipping and scoring it together. If you want to let it dry, you could, but it'd be a little bit, like when I say dry, I mean like sticking it back in your bag overnight or just for a couple days or whatever. But if you do that, then you could run the risk of it being too dry, and then you won't be able to manipulate the edges to get it to form back together nicely. So I'm slipping and scoring. I need to do that on both sides. Really good. Make sure they're nice deep scores. Make sure it is getting all like goopy, like a glue kind of a idea with the wet clay. That's the slip. That's what holds this all together. So if it's not making a glue kind of feeling, then add a little bit more water to it and score it up somewhere. Okay. Then we'll take our 2 halves, and I just kind of start at the bottom and just kind of work my way around. And like I said, this is not going to fit back together perfectly because we manipulated it. So you just kind of push it in to where it does. It might look more like a clamshell at this point, and that's fine. So I'm just taking my hands and I'm kind of cupping it and pushing it together. The air trapped inside is going to help you shape it. So don't make any holes in it at this point. You want it to be the air trapped in there. And then we're just going to go around and blend and smooth it all together to where there's no holes and you can barely even tell, or maybe not at all tell, where that seam was. And then as you're going around, this is when you can shape it a little bit. You can get rid of little cracks that may be formed. I'm just using the back of my fingernail, or the top of my fingernail, I guess. Can't really use the back of it, to kind of blend these together. You could also make a little coil and put around there, but I'm not going to do that. You could if you wanted to. Like if you're having some real issues with getting all the cracks or whatnot, then you could do it. And then you can just kind of go around and pat it, or like we did in another video, we could you could use like a little, this is, I don't know what this is actually. I guess it's like the inside of a paper towel roll, but it's like harder than that. I don't know where it came from. There was a spider in it earlier. I just found it in the garage. You could use a spatula of some sort, like a wooden spatula, the back of it, to make it nice and smooth. You can see like where it's wet, it's kind of, maybe you can't see it very well on the video, but it's kind of getting stuck to the piece here. So this might be something that you come back and do once it's a little bit harder, but it can help smooth out cracks and it can help shape it. You can also just use your hands too. So now that you have this nice hollow ball with air trapped inside, now you are going to set this aside and let it get leather hard. And then this is where you would make your 3 symbols. Now 2 of your symbols, or I guess 1 symbol has to be added on, like clay that you create something and then add it on. The other one needs to be carved into it somehow. And then the third one is up to you. It could either be added onto it or it could be carved. So, that is what you guys are going to need to do, is symbols. Think about what you want to do. Think about the placement. So when we are done, we are going to make a hole. Once we place these, we're going to make a hole about the size of this small cap here, in the top and in the bottom. So you could just mark them with this just so you have an idea of where they're going to be at, and then you can decorate around it. So the idea is that we would have a rod. It's going to be, let me think about what it's actually called. I can't think of it. But it goes over the rod. It's a metal rod that they use in construction a lot. And rebar, that's what it is, rebar. So the rebar would go in here and out the top. So try to make sure they're nice and even. And then the idea is that you guys would give them back to the school, essentially, like it's your clay, so you don't have to. But if you donated it back to the school, then we could put it in the Tranquility Garden that's next to the main office, and we would have represented all of our beautiful heritages and cultures of our school. So that's the idea, and they would be beautiful and colorful, and they'd be outside as essentially yard art. So it would be kind of fun. So you're going to decorate around this piece, but do not make the holes until everything is completely finished and it's exactly how you want it. And then you would carve the holes out of it. So that way, it's going to be easier to work with the ball when the air is trapped inside. So that's why we don't want to make a hole until the very last part of it. So this is when you would create your designs and put them around the outside. And then the very last thing would be to make the hole. All right. Have fun making your heritage ball.